is going on, YouTube? It is your boy DMD, and I figure I'd come at you guys with my updated Zoodiac deck profile, my IRL profile, my first one I've done IRL in a little while, and just kind of talk about my zoo list and how it's been performing. But anyway, guys, if you would give this video a like and a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you wish. This deck is really fun. I've been playing it, as you guys know, for, since like June. And I really enjoyed it playing throughout the format, you know, and as it's changed. And I really plan on continuing to play it. Hopefully we get her back to multiple copies here at some point in the future. This is a pure list. I'm not playing the Dogmatica version or anything like that. It's just a good list that I put together, and I kind of updated it as time has gone on. So without further ado, let me go ahead and hook you up with that zoo list. Alright guys, so this list is pretty much just kind of like a standard list. I will explain some of the card choices as I go on through the profile, but starting off, we're playing 11 zoos, 1 Rat Pier, 3 Thoroughblade, 3 copies of Whiptail, 3 copies of Ram, and 1 copy of Cataroost. This is, I guess, open to some player preference as far as the 11th zoo is concerned, as far as the Cataroost is concerned. I think these 10 are pretty much standard. This could be a Bunny Blast, say if you have a lot of Sky Striker or something at your meta, even though events aren't really going on that much right now. But if you are playing against a lot of spell decks online like Sky Striker, you could play Bunny Blast instead of this card because it's kind of more relevant in those instances. But yeah, it's pretty much it for the zoo lineup. For the hand traps, we've got triple copies of Ash Blossom. I mean, it's the most tried and true hand trap in the entire world. It's most generic, hits everything. 3 copies of Ghost Ogre. This card is, I would say, one of the best hand traps worth main decking. I'll talk about some of the hand traps that I'm side decking, or the hand trap that I'm side decking, when we get to the sideboard. But this is what I opted to play in the main deck, along with 3 Infinite Impermanents as far as the trap hand traps. Moving on to the spells, we've got 1 Barrage. I mean, it's standard. 3 copies of Super Tankies. Need to pick up Secrets.
Yes, I'm too lazy to pick up ultis, I'm sorry.
You know, it's the Rhoda for the entire deck. 3 copies of Pot of Desires. This card is really good. I know some people might be skeptical of 3, but in testing, you really want the +1. Like, it's incredible just being able to draw an additional 2 cards to help your game state so much. Like being able to rip a hand trap or a Solemn Strike on top of the 5 or so cards you already have in hand. It's just really valuable. Also, side note, if anybody has a secret rare
Pot of Desires
that might be watching this video, please feel free to reach out to me, because I am looking for another First Ed Dark Illusion Pot of Desires. I have 2 and I want to complete my playset. So if you do happen to have a secret rare Pot of Desires, please reach out, because I do want to complete the set, like I said. Finally, we've got 2 copies of Pot of Avarice. I've tested this card at 1 to 2 to 3, and after playing at some locals and play testing, I've figured out that 2 is the correct number. I was only playing 1, and that's incorrect for the grind game, but play testing with 3, it's just seeing this card, like, drawing into multiples of this, it's just so dead. And so I opted to only play 2. I feel like that's the perfect number for me. If you like 3, that's completely fine, but this card, in my opinion, in pure variant, is best at 2. And moving on to the traps, double combo. This is a great way to get Whiptail attached, and it's also a good way to recycle Trident, which is very important, because of course Trident's limited, so you kind of need a way to recycle Trident as much as humanly possible. 3 copies of Solemn Strike. It's generic monster negation. When I played True Draco, speaking of which, shout out to the True Draco Matt. When I played True Draco, I learned that this card is good going first and second because of the fact that it can crack established negates or prevent your opponent from making negates in the first place. So I love this card. Solemn Strike is so good. The only thing that it's really not good against right now is Dragoon. And Dragoon is kind of a pain for this deck to deal with. But speaking of Dragoon, one way that we can out it is double copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. I almost want to play this card at 3, but I do not have a third at the moment. This card is a DD Crow and a Karma Cut without the discard. Like, it's so absurd. I love this card. Being able to banish an Eldritch the Golden Lord or an Alistair or something from grave is insane. Like, it's so good. 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. It's the other hand trap that I mentioned earlier. We're playing a total of 9 hand traps in the main. I probably could consider playing something like Droll and Lockbird in addition to this, but those would only be for like Nekroz, Dragma, and Invoked variants.
And also Dragon Link.
And I play other cards for those in the sideboard, so I'm just playing the 3 Imperms, the Ashes, and then the Ghost Ogres for my hand trap, so 9 in total. 3 copies of Gozen Match. I wanted to play a really good Floodgate, and Gozen is just still like the best Floodgate that this deck can play. Rivalry might start seeing play again in future formats, so then this will probably become Rivalry in that case. But the only thing with Rivalry over this is you can't summon Megaclops, so it's a little bit less potent than this card is. Also, this is really good in the Dinosaur matchup, because if you flip this on like Oviraptor or something, they can't summon Conductor, which is just absolutely detrimental to the strategy. 3 Gozen Match. Finally, 1 Imperial Order. This locks out Invoked stuff. This locks out Shaddoll stuff. This can hurt Dinosaurs, which are all tier 1. It's okay-ish against like Eldritch, but we have stuff in the side for Eldritch anyway, so.
It's also really good against Dragma.
Moving on to the extra deck, we've got 1 copy of the girl, not the boy. 1 copy of Waifu Trident. Really wish this card would go to multiples because of the fact that she's limited. That's why you have to play like double Avarice, double combo to recycle her. But there are other ways to do it, like Chakanine. Speaking of which, we play 3 Chakanine. Also, Megaclops recycles her, but I'll get to Megaclops in a second. 3 Chakanine, being able to Monster Reborn a Ram or an Exceed to go into Megaclops is really, really strong. Honestly, I think she's just as good as Dryden in this deck, because being able to like MR something every single turn is really, really strong. 3 copies of Tiger Mortar, because you want to sometimes be able to reattach things that you've discarded or sent to the graveyard. Things like Rams or Whiptails that you might have discarded off of Thoroughblade. You can, if you open up Thoroughblade and a Whiptail, you can normal summon the Thoroughblade and then discard the Whiptail to draw 1, and then reattach the Whiptail with this. 2 copies of Borbo. This, if you're playing against a deck like Dinosaur that has really, really big monsters and you can kind of get to lethal, but you can't swing over the UCT, you just summon this and just like attack directly. 3 copies of Hammer Kong. You probably don't need to play 3. You could probably get away with playing 2. I would probably just swap this out for another Borbo, but you know, it's neither here nor there. 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. This can occasionally come up depending on the structure of your hand. Decks like Salaman, great. Decks like Dinosaurs, Dweller can be really strong against. 1 Emerald. This is a flex spot. This could be Castell. There have been times where Emerald has been live, and I kind of was able to make it, but those are over like long-term grind games. It's not often that you make this card. This is really just a flex spot. This could be anything. You could probably play something like a Castell or a Tornado Dragon rather than this. I think Tornado Dragon would actually be a better card to play than this. And then the 1 Megaclops. So the thing with Megaclops, you could also replace this for a second Megaclops, because there are times where after like turn 1, you can make another Megaclops on your second turn, even after you've made your first one. I've considered playing a second Megaclops just because it is really easy to access. So moving on to the side deck. This again is like up to personal preference, but this is what I've come up with. I mean, just real simple. 3 copies of DD Crow, 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More for combo decks. For Eldritch, we've got 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, we've got triple copies of Evenly Matched, and then finally Solemn Judgment. You've got to have a way to stop Harpy's Feather Duster and Twin Twisters and Evenly and all those kinds of cards. So guys, that being said, that is pretty much my deck profile. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. Just anything at all, just go ahead and hit me up. Also, if you guys do happen to have a secret rare Pot of Desires, please reach out because I would love to get one on the low, or maybe like trade for one. I just don't want to order one right now, but at any rate, it's that DMD, and your boy is out. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Peace out.
Oh, my heartbeat, my silent drum, that's kicking me till I'm numb. I wanna feel